Nintendo's Game Boy was very much the Rocky Balboa of handheld devices. It went toe-to-toe with much more powerful opponents, and it still came out on top. But if the Game Boy was Rocky Balboa, then the Sega Gamegear was Clubber Lang. Great performance, but terrible battery life. The entire links could be Spider Rico. Now we've looked at the best games for the old Game Boy, so now let's look at the old GameGear. That's a Shakespeare reference for anyone who's wondering at home. It's Snooty Nerds! Top 10 GameGear Games! Just as the Master System's Fantasy Star was basically Dragon Quest in space, this lesser-known title was Dragon Quest in an Arabian setting. Well, levelling up certainly feels like it takes 1001 nights. Joking and cultural references aside, Defenders of Oasis was an interesting RPG for its time. There were party members who each had a unique ability in battle, and a genie who gets stronger by giving it relics. Sort of like a nurturing simulator in that regard. So don't just feed him any old rubbish. There's a world of difference between antiques and junk.
Yes, it depends whether you're buying or selling.
Now, I am aware that it's a rather bare-bones RPG, and it hasn't aged quite as well as, say, the Game Boy's Final Fantasy Legend games, but try to imagine the context of a time period. This was one of the few RPGs the Game Gear had back in the day, and it was one of the best the system had to offer the English-speaking territories, since for some reason Sega never localised that Lunar Magic School game. There are 3 words that are a guarantee of a quality platformer. Mouse, illusion, Mickey. Not necessarily in that order. Despite the stigma attached to licensed games, Sega was wizard when it came to adapting Mickey Mouse to the world of gaming, Land of Illusion being one of their better Game Gear outings. Like its counterparts on the Mega Drive, you can be sure of well-controlled platforming, but this time with a few adventure game elements, such as a map to revisit stages and key items that let you open up new areas instead of previous stages. Even today, with all the gritty survival horror games, it's like a step back to the carefree days of the whimsy of the Magic Kingdom. Before every radio station in the world decided to milk a certain annoying song for all it was worth. Wonder Boy is a series I'd heard about before I even knew what the games were like, thanks to being a feature of the United Kingdom Sonic the Comic. So imagine my surprise when I finally played a Wonder Boy game, only to see green hair instead of blue. After an unsuccessful letter-writing campaign to try and persuade Sega to recall the game and change his hair back to blue, I accepted what I was given, and enjoyed my introduction to the Metroidvania genre. The Dragon's Trap immediately hits you between the eyes and throws you in at the deep end with a climactic battle right from the start, and transforming you into a fire-breathing lizard within the first 20 minutes of gameplay. From then, it's a sprawling action-adventure with numerous animal warriors to morph into, each with their own unique powers. It's this morphing mechanic that might actually make it even better than its 16-bit counterparts. There's a reason this particular entry got a remake on modern systems, and seems to be the inspiration for the series' revival with the new Monster Boy title. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, is a game with what I like to call a very high Marmite factor. For me personally, it was my very first Zelda game, so naturally I have a lot of nostalgic fondness for the title, and I won't let any of the naysayers tell me otherwise. Especially those hypocrites who call it an RPG, but they hate the only one where you actually gain experience points. Which is why I'm partial to its contemporaries, such as Axe Battler. This spin-off of the popular beat-em-up franchise once again tasked the players with finding the legendary Golden Axe, but this time with less mindless violence and more platforming, overworld exploration, and talking to NPCs in towns. You can unlock new special moves by visiting gyms in all the major towns. You don't suppose this is where Pokemon got the idea, do you? Golden Axe is one of the few Sega franchises that wasn't afraid of branching out of its comfort zone. What a shame that the company's mascot didn't have as much success in trying out other genres. Though ironically enough, Sonic characters trying out other genres did actually work sometimes, as is the case with Tails' Adventure. As I said in my top 10 games I wish they'd make video, Tails' skill set is much better suited to exploration than Sonic's is, and we also get to see his penchant for gadgets incorporated into the gameplay for once. It also has the best underwater stages of any Sonic game ever. Probably because he's using a submarine that he uses to blow everything up with. And his submarine may or may not have been inspired by the Transformers franchise. Considering that Tails is my favourite character in the Sonic franchise, a solo adventure exploiting his expertise in such a way was a treat to play back then, and it's still holds up today, even though the 4-item limit is a major inconvenience. Admittedly, I was wrong about Sega giving the sidekick his own spin-off before Mario did, but I think most people agree that Tails' adventure is infinitely better than Mario is missing. Take that, Luigi! Ha 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 ha! No Sega system is complete without a Sonic game. It's like a chili dog without the actual chili. It's not a chili dog, just an ordinary boring hot dog. Sonic Chaos is everything you would expect from a portable Sonic game. A choice of playable characters with different abilities, new power-ups to play with such as the rocket boots, and of course the ability to go really, really fast. My only real nitpick though is the name, Sonic Chaos. All of Robotnik's schemes involve the Chaos Emeralds in some way or another. Then again, the Japanese title was Sonic and Tails. The word "and" implies that you control them both at once, like in Sonic 2 on Mega Drive. It's one or the other, not both. It should be Sonic or Tails. It's the same case as Sonic and Knuckles. You can only have one of them on screen at a time, so it's not Sonic and Knuckles, it's Sonic or Knuckles. But neither of those games are as bad as the SatAM episode Sonic and Sally. Every single bloody episode is about Sonic and Sally! That title tells you absolutely nothing about what happens in the actual episode! And now we leave the colourful plantations of the planet Mobius for the fog-covered intrigue of Victorian London, as we join Dr. Social in his quest to vanquish the vampire Master of Darkness. Despite the player character's name sounding like it was taken from a self-help website for social outcasts, this lesser-known game is a solid side-scroller with plenty of variety. Think of it as an NES period Castlevania, just with more colour, better jumping controls, and more weapons than just a whip. As I've said before, if you're going to make a carbon copy of the game, then we the consumers generally don't mind as long as it's done well. And how can you go wrong with strutting around London in a Savile Row suit? Walking around and sneering at all the badly dressed peasants is, after all, one of my favourite pastimes. Whenever Sega's Shinobi franchise comes up in conversation, all anyone talks about are the Mega Drive Shinobi games. Mostly because some people are complete console snobs who think that handhelds are beneath them. Oh, the GameGear is a complete Philistine of a system. However, if you're open-minded enough to give the Game Gear a chance, you would have been privy to one of the best ninja games of its generation. Shinobi 2, The Silent Fury, and no, that is not a childish metaphor for a farting joke, gives you not one, but 5 ninjas to play as, each with different ninja skills, including double jumping, playing Spider-Man, and dancing on the ceiling.
What a feeling, dancing on the ceiling.
You can also completely break the game with Ninja Yellow's shield and giant shuriken combination. Nothing is more satisfying than completely decimating bosses while they're completely powerless to do anything to you. While the first GameGear Shinobi was good, this 2-part side series definitely hit its stride with The Silent Fury. Although the colour-coded ninja team makes you think that Super Sentai had something to do with this. Speaking of Super Sentai, there were plenty of Power Rangers games that capitalised on the success of the television series. Each system had their own exclusive titles, each with a different take on the property. In the Game Gear's case, it was an addictive fighting game featuring all 6 Rangers from the show's first season, 3 different Megazords to choose from, and a versus mode where you can play as the monsters. So for a licensed game to be this high on the list, I would assume then that you're expecting some kind of explanation. Well, there are 3 reasons. 1, because I honestly enjoy the game that much. 2, because it's my list and I can do whatever the bloody hell I like with it. And 3, not only was it better than the Power Rangers game on its arch-rival the Game Boy, but it was even better than the one on Mega Drive. A game for the handheld escort system being better than the version on the flagship home console. That alone earns it a spot in the top 10. If the Game Boy was playing with power, then the Game Gear was playing with a power and a force that you've never seen before. Do you like Fire Emblem, but hate permadeath? In the event that you're not a complete masochist and your answer is yes, then Shining Force is the game for you. The Sword of Hachia is similar to the legendary Shining Force 3 for the Sega Saturn, in that it was only one part of a much larger story, and the only Shining Force game for its system to make it into English-speaking territories. although the complete story was later remade for the Sega CD, which actually did get an English localization, but I digress. Nonetheless, I still advocate this game as the best RPG the Game Gear has to offer. It definitely has the most daring opening sequence. What other game can you think of that starts with a king being sacrificed in a demonic ritual? Ooh, he should have seen this coming. There was a very strong Republican whiff down the local tavern last night. Or maybe that was just the 20 pints of Guinness I'd had. Anyway, the gameplay is similar to what you would expect from a classic Shining Force game, commanding your armies of centaurs, elves, dwarves, and other fantastical creatures, weapon upgrades, promotions, and strategy battles, without the frustration of having to restart the entire bloody map whenever your favourite character dies. And that's my list of the top 10 Game Gear games. If you like the video, please share it around, it really helps me out here. Post over your own suggestions for great Game Gear games. If you do, let me know in the comment section. Cheerio!